The Dragon Princess Proo, Book 1, In Search of the Fairies of Beacon Hill, written with love by Clover's Nana. The Dragon Princess Proo, Book 1, copyright 2015 by Clover's Nana. Photos copyright Kelly Murney and Stuart Murney. Text Kelly A. Murney. All rights reserved. In real life, there's a little girl whose name is Clover. She is a typical 4-year-old, most of the time. When she was very little, before she could ever talk, strange things would happen at certain times during the day. No one said anything. Her Nana noticed it, though. One minute she would be a cute little girl, and then suddenly, but very quietly, her face would change, and a low growl could be heard. "She's tired," Mommy would say. Nana wasn't sure. Then one day Nana knew. Little 1-year-old Clover, face different, started growling and with a deep voice proclaimed, "I, dragon!" Nana mentioned it to others, but was met with choruses of, "Oh, that's so cute." But Nanas know things. Clover loves lots of things. Tea parties, singing, dancing, drumming, dress-up, crafts, glue and glitter, lots and lots of glitter. Nana loves all of those too, especially glitter. Nana and Clover had many adventures, sometimes with Bompy too. Then, when Clover was 3, Mommy and Daddy had to move all the way across to the other side of the country. Clover and Mommy got on a big white plane and flew to Victoria. That's in British Columbia. Nana and Bompy were sad. However, they filled their days with lots of their own adventures and spoke with Clover and Mommy often on the phone and on the computer. But Clover wanted more adventures. "Nana, just get on a big white plane and come to Victoria. It's easy." Many days and months passed. Then, on a chilly but sunny late October morning, Nana and Bompy got on that big white plane and flew all the way to Victoria. They even got a little white car and drove right to Clover's house. Clover and Mommy were very happy. Nana was very happy. Bompy was very happy, although sometimes he was on the computer so you couldn't tell. They started having adventures every day. This is the story of one adventure and how Nana discovered the truth about Clover and dragons. On the 4th day of their visit to Victoria, Nana, Bompy, and Clover decided to go see Beacon Hill Park. They drove from Clover's house through the lovely city of Victoria and into the park. It was early November, so many things were closed. The petting zoo looked empty and sad. Leaves were crunchy underfoot, making it obvious that winter was well on its way. But for Nana, Victoria is different. Even with Old Man Winter threatening to turn everything to brown, there was so much green everywhere. Nova Scotia, where she lives, gets cold brown and hides under a large white blanket all winter. There's no big blanket of snow in Victoria, at least not very often. Even so, Beacon Hill Park seemed to be very different to Nana. She wasn't sure why, not in the beginning anyway. They all started to explore the park. Clover knew where most things were because Mommy and Daddy had taken her there before. She was an expert, so she led the way. Very soon they met some local park residents. At the pond there were many ducks. They confidently walked over to Clover and seemed oddly calm and reverent, as if she were a very important someone. Clover continued to lead the way through the park to the rose garden. Nana noticed an unusual tree. It looked like a beautiful, tall, dancing goddess. Clover ran into the garden. Nana was pleasantly surprised to see roses in bloom, red ones, yellow ones, pink ones, so lovely. Nana started to realize that something magical was happening. But there was no time to think. Clover is a 4-year-old, and they have endless, wonderful energy. She was running ahead of Nana and Bompy. As Clover was running down a path, she pointed out all of the peacocks wandering around. They appeared to be very interested in her. As the 3 adventurers approached the first little bridge, they saw several lovely lady peacocks blocking it. Nana quickly understood that they needed to be accepted by these ladies before they could cross. Clover bent over and said, "Hello!" The ladies started to move over to the side and let the adventurers pass. Bompy had to go for a few moments. He mumbled something and trundled off. Nana and Clover walked over to a small pond with a glittery, shimmering waterfall. Clover looked around and found a branch that had been cut and began to stir up the water with it. Splish, splash, splush! Nana was getting wet and sternly told Clover, "It is too chilly to be getting wet." Clover, though, knew what she was doing, stirring the water, announcing her arrival with a magical flourish. Bompy was nowhere to be found. Clover and Nana wandered over to the children's playground. Lots of fun was to be had there. There was the big thing to climb on, the swings to swing on, lots of twirly-whirly and silly things to jump on, or under, or over, or around. Bompy came back. And he pushed Clover on the swing. Nana pushed Clover on the swing. Then Clover jumped off the swing and ran off. Clover was not seen again for a long time. Nana and Bompy ran after her as she jumped to the top of a very large rock. A huge mountain of a rock. Or maybe it was just a big boulder. At the top of the rock she stood, and at that time a loud, thunderous roar could be heard. "I am Dragon!" Nana and Bompy stood at the bottom. Bompy's face crinkled up and he jumped onto the rock. "I am the Tickle Troll, and I will get you!" She roared back. "No, you will not. I am Waterproof Dragon, and this is my castle. You may not enter." Nana looked at Bompy and said, "Let me handle this." She climbed up the large rock, almost making it to the top when the dragon glared at her. Before the dragon could roar, Nana stood her ground and proclaimed, "I am Oceana Glitter Dragon, a good dragon. We should be friends and go on an adventure." "It is my castle," declared the dragon. "Yes, but can we share? Can I call you Proo? Waterproof Dragon is such a long name." The dragon shook her head and thought for a moment. "I think, yes, we can be friends, Deanna Glitter Dragon." That's Oceana. "Right, Leanna, let's go fly first." The 2 dragons jumped off the castle rock and flew towards the big tree in the distance. The Tickle Troll lumbered behind on foot. The dragons swooped and looped and laughed and giggled, stopping to look at trees and say hello to local residents. There were more of the local constabulary, that's the peacocks, I say, and a very large squirrel, obviously ready for winter. After speaking with the squirrel for a short time, they decided to continue walking instead of their normal flight. The view is different from below. They approached another bridge, and the glitter dragon Oceana announced that, as this is a troll bridge, there should be tolls to pay. They looked over the sides to see if they could find the trolls. After a moment of silence, a voice behind them says, I'm the troll, and I'll tickle you later as payment to cross. Go ahead." The dragons giggled. "Oops, we forgot. Thank you." They ran across the bridge and up to the hill as the troll stayed back to man, or rather troll, the bridge. As they reached the bottom of the hill, Oceana stopped and exclaimed, "This is a fairy hill! Proo, I bet we'll find fairies here. We'll have to be quiet and walk softly. They're a bit afraid of dragons." "Oh, I so want to see fairies," whispered Proo. The dragons Proo and Oceana quietly walked up the hill, looking for any signs of fairies. "We should stop and have lunch right here," said Proo. So they took out their lunches that had been strapped on Proo's back and quietly started eating. Within a few moments, something whooshed by them. "Fairies!" yelled Proo. "There's one over there," Oceana pointed over Proo's head. The fairies were curious, but like all fairies were fast and cautious. No one has yet caught a fairy. At least not that anyone remembers. Suddenly a noise was heard in the bushes, and out pops a little truck and a very tall man. "That," announced Proo, "is a monster truck." "Well, dear, you are the first one to ever correctly identify that it is indeed a monster truck." "We are looking for fairies," said Proo matter-of-factly. The man bent down to one knee, got quiet, and said, "Ah, now I tell you. Here is the secret to finding the fairies here in the park. Look for mushrooms, and when you find them, carefully look underneath. If the grass is patted down, then it is very likely that is where a fairy was sleeping." "Oh," exclaimed Proo, "I would never hurt a fairy, you know." "I should hope not," said the man as he turned to walk down the hill with the little monster truck ambling ahead of him, clearing a small path. Proo and Oceana never told the man that they had seen some fairies fly by. Some things are just nice to keep secret for you. With that, they started to look for mushrooms, however, just to see where the fairies might have been sleeping. Oceana started to walk towards the back of the park, and at that time spotted someone walking in that direction. "Oh, Proo, let's go the other way. I'm not sure, but I think that looks an awful lot like an ogre." Dragons are not afraid of ogres, or anything for that matter, but ogres can be cranky. This was no time to come upon a cranky ogre. So the two dragons, following the mushrooms, started to walk down the hill. Within a few moments, they saw the Tickle Troll still trolling the stream. "Tickle Troll, would you like to join us?" hollered Proo. "Indeed I do," he joyfully responded. The three friends continued their search for fairies by walking beside the stream. Proo was looking for as many mushrooms as she could find. Oceana was looking for other things. "How lovely are those," said Oceana as Proo bent down to smell some unique and beautiful flowers. "Pretty," said Proo, "but they do not smell at all." "Fairy flowers for sure. I suspect they have taken all the pretty smells and keep it in their little fairy bottles. I might know where to get some of that," Oceana said as she looked around a little shifty, like she didn't want the fairies to hear her. The Tickle Troll started making funny noises. "Harumph! I'm getting hungry." The trio walked just a little bit further, and soon they came across a grove of trees. "Oh, I know that fairies must live in this one," exclaimed Proo as she ran over and gingerly peeked inside the drooping branches. "I can imagine that they hold big events in there, with fairy dust lights, dancing, and wonderful music," mused Oceana. Sigh. "Not around dragons, I would imagine, though." "Hungry," grumbled the troll, this time a little louder. "Food's over that way," a gruff voice commanded. "Who said that?" exclaimed Proo. Oceana turned her head and looked towards a giant tree with outstretched branches. "I think the tree did. He's so beautiful." The tree's upper branches shuddered and dropped some leaves on top of her head. "Oh, I think I embarrassed him. He's not going to talk now." "Thank you, sir," she said with a curtsy. A few more leaves dropped at the dragon's feet. They continued to follow the stream, still looking for fairies and mushrooms, and soon came upon a very large stone bridge. Oh, Prue, I'm pretty sure this is made by stone giants. We need to check to ensure we can pass over it okay. Oceana started to fly up and over both sides to see if anything was there. Still hungry? I'm a troll. No stone giant is going to get in the way of me and food, he grumbled very loudly. Prue started walking over the bridge to the middle. It's clear, announced Oceana from across the other side of the bridge. Oceana, look at the water! Prue was peering over the side. There were bubbles and water swirling and twirling, but nothing there. Prue, it's mermaids. They live down there. At that moment, a lovely young lady started to walk across the bridge. She smiled at the trio and continued across. Prue, did you see? She had long red hair. So pretty. Do you think that... No, she has legs. Do you actually think a mermaid? The mermaid? Prue smiled that big dragony smile and shook her head up and down. A soft giggle came from the direction of the pretty red-haired girl. Dragon, troll, and dragon continued their walk. Lots of mushrooms to be found, lots of whizzing and whirling that they heard. The fairies were certainly there, but 2 dragons and a troll were a bit scary for tiny fairies. The land seemed to open up for the threesome. They walked to the Lake of Queens and the Lake of Fountains. The royal court of fairies could be heard in the wind, just enough to know that they were there. So much magic to be found, maybe only to be found by dragons and trolls. The day was exciting, but the troll was still very hungry, and the dragons were getting tired. Prue saw a tree, a beautiful tree with curved branches low to the ground. Dragon Princess Prue laid down on the tree branch. Curling up with a big sigh, she said, "This is my new bed. I'm going to stay here for a while." Oceana Glitter Dragon looked over at the other branch and added, "It looks lovely. I'm going to nap here too." A little later, a voice was heard from the distance. "Nana, Clover, are you 2 ready to go get lunch? Spaghetti?" "Bobby," yelled Clover, "I want pizza." With that, Clover and Nana ran to the car. The 2 dragons were sleeping, preparing for yet another grand adventure. Friends forever. Epilogue. So, dear reader, I'm sure you are asking, why is this book called The Dragon Princess Prue? We know she is a dragon, and we know why she is called Prue. But princess? How can dragons be princesses? Well, that story is for another adventure. However, let me tell you that it is indeed an exciting and wonderful story. Thank you for listening.